I've spoken before at kCarol Unitarian Universalist Fellowship about growing up in the Manitou Presbyterian Church in Spokane, about going to church each week with my family and attending Sunday school and VBS, that's Vacation Bible School, to those of you not in the know. Church was an important part of my family's life. And like many teenagers, I drifted away. I was out of college, married with two very small children. Maybe there is something to being in a religious community. On the first Sunday after Labor Day, today, our Unitarian Universalist congregations restart. I know I shift to a new mode. I look forward to seeing people who may have been away all summer, meeting new people who may have just moved to the community. After all, they may be looking for a faith community for themselves and their children, just as I had been when I first walked in the doors of the Edmonds Unitarian Church. Now, as a member and affiliated minister at the Olympia UU congregation, I know that my church family not only feeds my spirit on Sunday mornings, but that it is there when I need it. In fact, it has been a godsend to me. My wife, Barbara, died on a Saturday morning after a long period of decline from congestive heart failure complicated with dementia. My family, Barbara's two daughters and my two daughters, were with me that weekend, but I also needed to be with my larger family, my church family. So I went to church the next morning, which happened to be Easter morning. And I was immediately surrounded by friends. Some of them were widows who had been through this whole experience 20, 30, or 40 years before, and who had all those wonderful words for me that really meant something. You know, I'll be over this afternoon with dinner for your family. Or, I understand the pain of your loss, and it will get better. Words that I have spoken to others after they have lost loved ones were exactly the words I needed to hear that Easter morning. I knew that I could count on my church family to be there with me during that time. And like my biological family, it is a group of people I did not choose to be with, but that is now truly family. We come together, yes, to mourn and to celebrate and to worship in the full meaning of that word, to seek what is of ultimate worth in this life. And because of the nature of a church community, I am there with those who may be very, very different from me, with a wide variety of lifestyles and experiences. The one thing we have in common is that we come to church together. Some have been through what I've been through, have lost spouses or partners, lost children or parents. I know someone else in that congregation knows what I am going through, and that really helps a great deal. And on that particular Easter morning, listening to the stories and singing the hymns took me out of myself for a moment or two. Kathleen Norris, the author of The Cloister Walk and other books about her personal spiritual practice and our common search for meaning in our lives, have said, we go to church for other people. We go to church for other people, for someone there may need us, and I may need them. How true that is. And when we do that, we feed ourselves by learning something that we can give to each other, and by nurturing the strength within us to reach out to someone else. Our churches or fellowships like kitsap, Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, offer the space where we can do this religious work so much better than we can do, say, in our other groups, a hiking group or a book club. When we step inside church, we enter a place, we enter a space where it is expected that we will look at matters of the Spirit within ourselves and within others, where we can come to a deeper understanding of the many ways God or Spirit or whatever name you have can be experienced in our own lives. We are here to learn how to love better. As you use, we talk a lot and sing a lot about love. We stand or roll or find ourselves on the side of love. Many of us understand love to be the compelling force in the universe that holds all of creation together. We may have different beliefs about the source of that love, but we recognize love's power to unite us and to urge us toward deeper understanding and relationship with all of life. Yes, we are on the side of love when we come together on Sunday morning or whenever we meet as a religious community. Being together in a sacred space reminds us that love is there and that it is constant. Yes, sometimes it's hard to keep that in mind, but it's there. We look out our windows and experience the love of nature. Look across this sanctuary and feel the love and presence of old friends. And when we do keep that in mind, we're able to help others if they need help, or just be with them, or share their joys, or share their griefs. Having a church family really helps. We all need places where we are reminded of our better selves, places where we can find it is safe to be vulnerable. Well, what happens in this place that doesn't happen in other parts of our lives? The late UU minister Jack Mendelson wrote about that, saying that church offers us the opportunity to grow, to be healed, to stretch our minds and our hearts, to be challenged and renewed, to be helped in our own continuing struggles for meaning and for love. Sometimes it simply helps to step away from the busyness of our daily lives. Many of us find in our religious community the eye at the center of the hurricane, that still, overwhelmingly quiet place where we're reminded to experience life as a grace-filled wonder, a place to be renewed and restored before we return to our lives at home and at work and to the unrelenting onslaught of news on TV or on our cell phones. No, we do not find the answer to all of life's questions in church. But it is the place where, in the face of cynicism, darkness, and brutality that we see in our daily headlines, it is a place where we can be part of a living community that would affirm rather than despair, that would think and act rather than simply adjust and succumb to all those forces around us. Finding inspiration and hope is so sorely needed as we face these sometimes overwhelming onslaught of news and problems in today's world. But our time here helps us sort out what is meaningful in our own lives, and it also nourishes us to continue our work for a just world. From the Cherokee Nation comes the parable of the two wolves. A grandfather is talking to his grandson. grandfather tells his grandson that there are two wolves inside each one of us, and that those two wolves are always at battle. One, says the grandfather, is a good wolf, which represents things like kindness, bravery, and love. The other is the bad wolf, which represents things like greed, fear, and hatred. The grandson stops and thinks about it for a moment, and then he looks up at his grandfather and asks, "Grandfather, which wolf wins?" The grandfather replies, "The one that you feed." The one that you feed. We all seek ways to find meaning, ways to make life meaningful, ways to keep feeding our own good wolf, that wolf of love. Being together, and working with others, seeking to feed their good wolves really helps. Again, church is different from other ways of being with people. My book group in Olympia has met continuously since 1969. Now, I didn't start in then, but only one or two of those original members still are in that group. But many of us have been members for years. And I feel we all know each other especially well, particularly our preferences in literature. And we love getting together twice a month. We used to get together once a week. We read one novel a week, if you could imagine that, but that was a few years ago when we had fewer distractions in our lives, I guess. My book group has very few rules, one of which is that we talk about the book, not about our personal experiences. Instead, our facilitator asks questions that encourage us to look more deeply into the way characters in the novels are formed and motivated. Our discussions focus on the ideas in the book, and they make for a very satisfying hour and a half on a Tuesday morning. But my book group does not necessarily feed my good wolf. It certainly does not ask me to sit in silence, taking the time to contemplate how I can live into my higher values. On the contrary, silence in a group of book lovers is pretty rare. No, my good wolf is fed in church, fed by the music, by prayer and meditation, by silence, by regular reminders to be courageous and bold in the face of injustice, to be humble in the face of all that I do not know, and to be reminded of the sacred that is all around us, in the beam of sunlight coming through those windows, by the sound of the voices singing together, the voices of our choir, by the faces of all of you around me. Some of you I have known for years, in my home congregation for many years, and some I don't yet know. But those in my home congregation, small support group for caregivers who trust each other to share their deeper pains and triumphs, feed my spirit as well. When a group of people, whether it's a small group or the larger congregation, let themselves be known to one another, true relationship can grow. Our sanctuary, this sanctuary, is the place where that trust, that emotional and spiritual intimacy can develop and grow. That is what it means to be in a sacred space. Sacred space allows us to be who we truly are, to share ourselves with others, to live into our highest values. The sacred is here. It is here in this sanctuary right now. and it is here nourishing us through our relationships with each other, helping each one of us connect with the ultimate, whether we call that God or one of the many other names for the spirit that moves through life. Our time together in sacred space helps us work toward understanding together what it means to be human in a world that the human mind has managed to place at ultimate risk. And many of us find here that spiritual support we need as we grapple with the world's evils, as we work for respect and justice in a time that has such great need for respect and justice. It's here that we deepen our understanding of our interconnectedness, of our roles as individuals and as a community in this world that we all share. And we're not alone. KUUF strengthens and empowers our voices through collaboration with committed members of other religious faiths, the Buddhists, the Protestants, Catholics, Muslims, Jews. As people of faith and hope, we refuse to let the complexities of this world anesthetize our need to care for others, to care for this earth, to care for justice. Yes, our congregations are holy ground, the holy ground where we come together to be recognized for who we are and for what we can become. Yes, we can learn to live and love in places other than church. And of course we do, in our families and our groups of friendships. But in church, love is the primary goal. The Reverend William Sloane Coffin, the late anti-war and civil rights activist, once said that religious community is God's love organized, and that the role of religious community is to organize love. And that's what you're doing here at KUUF. You're organizing love. Love for each other, love for those who suffer injustice, love for this earth, just love for life. We organize love. And of course, being a hard-working fellowship, KUUF has committees who do their part to get it all perfectly organized. We have the choir for those who love to sing, the farmers market here on the side today for those who love to share what they grow, a dynamic social justice group that is an important voice for justice in Kitsap County, for racial justice, for equality and peace. You have the Truth Quest book group for those who like to explore new ideas together. And of course, your worship committee, which thoughtfully creates meaningful Sunday services that welcome all and feed the good wolf in our hearts and in our souls. KUUF organizes love, and everyone is invited to be part of this organization. Our hymn, Spirit of Life, which we sang just a few moments ago, reflects how this congregation nurtures the holy, creates a space where love can reach out to the world. If you want to take another look at the words to Spirit of Life, they're on page 123 in your gray hymnal. So with the opening words, Spirit of Life, come unto me, we invite the sacred into our lives and hearts, summoning the holy known by many names. Spirit of Life, come to me. Sing in my heart, letting the music stir the compassion that lives there, awakening that passion and allowing it to be spread by the wind, by the waters of the sea, that having it move within us, compelling our hands to do the work for justice in this world. And as we're doing so, we remember our roots in this spiritual community and in our Unitarian Universalist tradition, those roots which hold the treasures of the past as well as the hopes and expectations for our future. Those roots continue to hold us even as we move freely into the world. We end this hymn with the prayer with which it began. Spirit of life, come to me, come unto me. May the Spirit move us to grow in compassion so we may bring more love into this world. And this is what this congregation offers to all who enter here. A sacred place where it is safe to be ourselves, to worship, to find worth, to experience the holy as we know it, to celebrate this gift of life, to share our sorrows, be rooted in community, and nourished by our relationship with others. And this fellowship is an open place, ready to welcome each one of you home again. Whether today is the first time you entered this sanctuary, or whether you were here last Sunday, or 8 months ago, or 10 years ago, welcome home. Now let us sing together hymn number 1018 in the teal hymnal. Come and go with me.